At this point in the course, you know what goes into creating a viral piece of content, and hopefully you're beginning to narrow in on the relatable, shareable, repeatable idea that you can use to start crushing on the platforms. In this lesson, I'm going to be sharing more specifics on creating that piece of content and elements that you can incorporate to maximize its chances of success. I'll be going over some frequently asked questions on content creation and everything from gear and scripting to voiceovers and B-roll. First off, let's talk about what gear you need to crush as a creator. I've linked everything that I'm about to talk about in the lesson description for you in case there's anything you want to pick up. Even though we have literally tens of thousands of dollars worth of gear, most of the time we don't even touch it because the content's going to perform better when shot on a phone. If you are able to shoot cinematic videos, there are times when it can help your content stand out, but if a video won't perform shot on a phone, I can guarantee it also won't perform on a $10,000 cinema camera. So stop overthinking camera gear and get comfy creating with your phone. One exception to this is the audio. Your audio always needs to be crisp and clear no matter what. Most of the time, phone audio is perfect, but if you're in a place with intense background noise or you need to be far from the camera for a concept, you're gonna need to think about audio. I would suggest wireless microphones for these situations. Either the DJI, the Rode Wireless Pro, or Hollyland are great options that you can connect straight to your phone to give you crisp, clear audio in any situation. Right now, we're personally using the Rode Wireless Pro, which looks something like this. So this connects to your phone, and this we'll just put right onto a shirt collar. Like that. We personally don't care if a mic is showing, but if it matters to you, a lav mic is going to connect to a shirt collar or even a bra strap to keep the mic hidden. This is what a lav mic looks like. So you'd take this and you would put this onto a shirt collar, tuck it into the shirt, and then the end of that just goes right into this box. This wirelessly connects to this, which goes into your phone. Might sound a little complicated, but after a few times, it's gonna feel like second nature. Depending on the type of content that you're shooting, having external mics could be the difference between usable or garbage footage. For example, we did a shoot at a driving range for Con, and between the road noise and having two people talking while far away from each other, it would have been impossible to get anything usable with a microphone on a camera. But since we were prepared, we got a ton of great content from that single shoot. You also need to have a great tripod. This is the one that we use if we're shooting on our phone. It's cheap, easy to take with you, and sets up in literally 1 second. Especially if you're a solo creator, a tripod is gonna be your most important tool. When it comes to lights, 99% of the time, we just try to shoot near windows or in the shade if we're outside. But if you have a home studio where you shoot, you can use lights with diffusion. We personally love aperture lights, and that's what we use in our home studio, but there are a ton of cheaper options like Neewer, and we'll link all of our suggestions below. All right, moving on from gear. Let's talk about the things that you can do while shooting your content to make it stand out. First, and most importantly, is don't be afraid to do multiple takes. A-list celebrities that have been acting their entire lives rarely stop after one take, so why should you? We'll shoot our hook 20 to 30 times and take the best, most convincing one. We'll even cut together the first half of one take with the second half of another. Remember earlier, we mentioned that we shot an entire video 5 times before we even started shooting anything that we actually ended up using. This is the difference between shooting 50 videos that all get 200 views and taking your time to shoot one video that gets millions. Next is to pay attention to your visuals, especially in the hook. This probably sounds obvious, but so many creators just set up a tripod and shoot an entire video from their kitchen counter or in their office. You need to find a way to make it so that your video is captivating from the first second, even with the sound off. Then try to keep your video moving visually as much as possible. Let me show you an example. Here are frames from a video where I make Meg butter chicken ice cream. I could have just set up a tripod and filmed the entire piece of content without moving, but instead, every few seconds, there's a different angle or perspective, and rather than having Meg guess the flavor in the kitchen, I brought the ice cream through the house just to give the viewers something new to look at. To recap, try to keep your video moving visually as much as possible, which leads us to the next topic, which is B-roll. If you're not familiar with the term, B-roll is the supporting footage that you put over your main video to help tell the story. Here's an example of how I use B-roll in a video, showing people a new drone that I was using. This is a drone that goes over 100 kilometers an hour, and because of these super cool goggles, you see what it sees. The whole video could have just been me talking to camera, but by adding a few shots that show the things that I'm talking about, it kept the video more engaging, in turn keeping the watch time up. So while you're shooting your content, I want you to think about what you could capture that would support the story visually. If you're not able to shoot the content, you can also use images, either that you've taken or from the internet, as well as stock footage. If you're getting paid by a brand for a video, you'll want to make sure that you're using footage or photos that you have the rights to. We have a subscription service called Envato Elements for our stock footage, and for photos, we use Unsplash, which is a free stock photo website. I've added links to both in the lesson description. Later on, we're also going to be teaching you how to generate videos fully with AI, and that can be a great way to add visuals to a video of you talking to camera, especially for educational content. Next, one of the most common questions that we get asked is, how long should my video be? And unfortunately, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. Your video needs to be as short as possible, and as long as it takes to get to the payoff at the end. A good rule of thumb is to remove any second in the video that doesn't either add value or drive towards a payoff. You'd be surprised how quickly those unnecessary moments can add up. Remember, value can be a laugh, something interesting, or a part of the story that's necessary for the video to make sense as a whole. If you can remove a moment of the video that doesn't contribute to the video landing, do it every single time. This also applies when you're scripting and shooting the video. Try to simplify as much as you can. If it feels confusing to you, then it probably is. And if you can use 5 words to explain something instead of 10, it's probably gonna perform better. Just remember, why use many word when few word do? Kevin Malone. The ideal length is also usually dictated by the strength of the hook. If your hook is weak, you might only be able to get people to stick around for a few seconds. But with a strong enough hook, people will watch through a few minutes to get to the payoff. A great example of this is a video that I shot with Khan and his wife. Here's the hook.
This is my fiance, but today she is going to be my golf caddy, and if we can make par, I'm taking her to Aritzia to get anything that she wants.
I'm in, but what's making par?
This video is 4 minutes long, and over 4 million people watched it to see whether they could make par together. If he just said, "Today I'm golfing with my fiance," the hook would probably only justify a 15-second video because there's no curiosity at all to keep watching. All right, moving on. Another great way to keep videos engaging, especially if you don't want to show your face, is with voiceovers. You can either do this by recording a script completely separate to the video and underlying it throughout, or you can record a video of yourself delivering the script to a camera. This way, you can cut back to the shot of you throughout, similar to a documentary. Here's an example of recording the script and cutting back to you speaking throughout the video.
I just finished playing in my very first amateur golf tournament. It didn't go as expected. They got banners out. They got trophies everywhere. You get a little tour tag with your name and everything on it, and it really just feels like a legitimate professional tournament. That's when I kind of start feeling a little bit nervous. So I go over to the chipping green, work on my short game a little bit.
Voiceovers can either be scripted before you shoot the video and you can capture everything that you need to visually show that story, or you can sit down with a collection of footage and try to figure out how it all connects. This is also a great opportunity to add more personality to your videos with humor or a unique brand voice. We find it's always quicker and easier to have an idea of the script going into the creation process of your content so that you can make sure you capture everything you need. Quick pro tip, if you do want to go the voiceover route, I still suggest trying to deliver your hook to camera. We find that faces are the most visually captivating thing on social media. So if you can start with your face delivering the hook, it's usually gonna do better than just showing something else visually. All right, next is text overlay. Similar to VO, text blocks can provide a ton of context that would have been missing otherwise. It can be a great way to introduce the hook and give people context on why they should care about the video if you want to launch straight into the actual content. Here are a few examples of what that looks like.
This kid just pulled up to the golf course on a boat. Hey dude.
My Yeti can survive a bear attack. It can stay cold for weeks in the desert.
My pregnant wife started putting a craving and yuck list on the fridge. We also almost always use subtitles if there's somebody speaking. This is both so that someone can enjoy with their sound off, and it also eliminates any possibility that they can't understand what you're saying. While it's not entirely necessary, we've noticed much better results when we are using subtitles in our videos. Next, the caption of your video is something you should never overlook. It's not just a spot for the hashtags and a throwaway line about vibes. When people are scrolling, the caption is the last thing that they look at before deciding whether or not to scroll, and it can be a Hail Mary to hook them in. Use this as a spot to create more curiosity, extend on your hook, or reference something at the end of your video. I know we've covered this already in the course, but it's worth reiterating because this is so important. A caption as simple as, "Well, that was unexpected," can literally be the difference between 500 and 5 million views because it gives people something to be curious about. All right, when it comes to scripting your videos, it's always best to go into your shoots with a rough wireframe that you can use as a guide while you're creating. We personally love using a checklist in Notion or in the Notes app on our phone that we cross off as we go. This helps us stay organized and on track without having to worry that we'll get back to an edit and be missing an important piece of the puzzle. Depending on the video, we'll either note down every single shot, for example, wide opening line, tight on opening burger box, etc., or just overarching notes for each section of the video, like open with a hook to camera, show process of creating a meal, get Meg's reaction to eating the meal. If anything unexpected happens during the creation, this script should always be flexible, but it gives you a good guideline to work with. At the very least, I always recommend scripting your hook word for word. Next, when it comes to camera tricks and transitions, we've added an entire bonus module to this course that walks you through how to do some of our favorites. You're gonna learn everything that is in this video here.
Here are the 7 best transitions and effects to help get you views like this on your videos. Number 1, the whip transition. You whip the camera out of the first shot and into the second shot, hiding the cut in the middle. Number 2, the quick change. This one really keeps people on their toes. And there's a few different ways that you can do it. Next up is the frame extend. AI's made it super easy to turn your space into literally anything you want. Number 4, the lens cover. You can use your hands, but I prefer things like towels or hats. Number 5, the wipe transition. Number 6 is the comment grab. This one is my personal favorite.
These are some of the tools that you can add to your tool belt to help make every video as captivating as possible and keep your shoot days moving smooth. If you do want to take your video production to the next level and learn about different shooting styles and the professional gear that we love to use, we have our full Content Creator Academy, which dives into the ins and outs of professional pre-production and production. All right, with that, I will see you in the next one.